When it comes to training a new martial art, training for women is completely different in experience than training for a man. Today I've got my friend Lizette Rambo Ramos, and we're going to get into some of the issues that are different depending on what gender you are. Let's get to it. Hello, my name is Donovan Scott. I'm the owner and creator of MatPass. This is my dear friend Lizette Rambo Ramos, and we're talking today about some of the unique challenges that women face in the gym as opposed to men. How much pressure to use. This can be a really good guide for guys who are just starting to train, whether you're striking or whether you're doing grappling, how to carry yourself, how to conduct yourself. Because I know for me personally, when I first started in jiu-jitsu, it was a huge issue because I was like, well, how do I train with women? Is it weird? Is it awkward? Is it strange? Do I go as hard as I go with a man? Like, how do I do this? So we're here to answer some of those questions today. How are you doing, Lizette?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Let's keep clapping, man.
Hey.
So when you're training in a gym, male and female training together, like, what are some of the main concerns? Because for me, coming in training with the opposite sex, I had two concerns. Mm-hmm. Is it going to be awkward because you're very close contact with each other? And number two, what level of intensity do I put out when I'm on the mats? Like, am I training do I give them the same type of intensity as I do with men, or do I kind of meter that to a certain degree? Do y'all have some of the same concerns coming in?
We actually do.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the biggest concerns that we have is I want to say the weight and the strength. Both genders, because it is kind of awkward at first, especially if you just come in and you have no idea, you're a beginner, have no idea what you're doing, and you're rolling with the man. It tends to be awkward at first, but the more you do it, the more comfortable you're going to get, and then you're going to realize, like, oh, it's not as bad as I thought, because you're no longer thinking like, oh, that looks funny, you know? You're like, okay, no, I'm in this position, I gotta get out of it, I gotta go here, I gotta go there, oh, I have this open. So I think you kind of tend to forget.
That's definitely my experience, because it's like when I first started, I was like, this is going to be awkward. Mm-hmm. I'm reading all the chads online saying stuff like, oh man, bro's fighting two battles. Like, there's this whole thing. And I was like, I could see where they're coming from, but once you get on the mat and you realize this person is effectively trying to kill you or break something off of your body, it's like, okay, well, that's where your brain is focused on survival, especially if you're rolling with somebody that's higher level and can choke you out or can give you a hard time. That was a big shock for me, was the level of skill that somebody with lesser strength could have, especially on the mats. Now, obviously, as the skill increases, strength kind of comes into play and can overwhelm that. But without the skill, guys coming in that think they're all bad really are at a disadvantage. But I really feel like they have to be able to humble themselves to be able to say, I'm going to put down the strength for a bit so I can learn the skill,
And I feel like most men have a hard time doing that, because I want to say their ego is too big. They're like, I'm gonna roll with the female, she's kind of petite, and then because I've been in situations where I have somebody on a rear naked choke, and this man is like 170 pounds of muscle, like
lightweight.
He's really strong compared to me. I'm 100 pounds, he's 170, and I had a rear naked choke, but he just decided, I think it's his ego, just decided to use both of his hands, not just one, both of his hands, to pull my little ass arm, sorry, language, my little arm, pull it down so I wouldn't be able to get the submission. And he was using his full strength.
What he should have done is he should have broke off the hooks, got up and just started running across the...
hate
That's
you,
what I
dog.
would have done. I'd start running.
But, and then sometimes you get to a point and you're just like, man, like, I have this guy in control. I have this submission, but he's just really stubborn about giving me the position. So I'm just going to stay there. Then
Yeah.
I'm not going to risk myself getting injured. I'm just going to control you there.
Yeah. Yeah. There are definitely guys, because I've seen it, I would say more in sparring than I've seen it in jiu-jitsu. Like sparring as far as stand-up goes. I've seen it more in sparring with stand-up. I know you've voiced it, and I've had other female friends that train like Muay Thai that have voiced, sometimes guys when they get outclassed, they start getting mad, they start getting
Yes.
more intense, start banging a lot harder.
Mhm.
And it's kind of irritating to see because, I mean, there's definitely women in this gym that are better at jiu-jitsu than I am. But that's part of jiu-jitsu. I wouldn't get as mad at a guy when I'm rolling with him. And, like, I get it. If you want to, this is a competitive sport. You want to be competitive. Nobody wants to roll with a limp fish. Like, nobody wants to roll with somebody that's going to lay out and let them do whatever they want to do. You want to meet that challenge. But there's something to be said for understanding. You're both trying to get better, right?
Yes.
You both don't get better if one is using, their 30 pounds of hamburgers they've amassed over the last 6 months to keep somebody down the mat. Like, you're not going to get better. Now, if I'm rolling with some of these gorillas, like, that are 250 plus pounds, you better believe I'm going to give them everything that I can to flatten them out because I don't want them on top of me. That's my whole goal. I don't want you on top of me, so I'm going to be extra mean to make sure you stay stuck to this mat. But if I'm rolling with somebody lighter than me, I benefit more if I decide to engage them in a technical battle and if I try to engage them in a battle of wills, a battle of smash against, strength against strength. Now, like, how do you personally balance, okay, I want to train with people who are allowing me to train without getting injured or allowing me to actually work my technique, but I also want to train so that if I'm outside and somebody comes jumping off of a roof like Batman in Arkham City, like, I'm able to handle myself. Like, how do you kind of train with that intention in mind as well?
I want to say, just kind of be really aware of yourself first. Like, talk to yourself first. Like, okay, am I too, am I being heavy? Am I using my strength? Just question yourself first, and then I think from then on, moving forward, I think it will get easier, and you'll start moving a little bit better. But always learning how to control yourself is one of the biggest.
Yeah, I know I've had situations where I've rolled with women and they'll ask for more pressure. Like, they're like, you're not giving me enough pressure, give me more pressure. And so that can also be kind of confusing to new guys because they have to realize that different people have different strengths. There's some people that just are stronger. There's some people that are just, I don't know what's wrong with some people. Some people just want that fire. Like, they just want to go as hard as they possibly can go every single time. It's kind of a character thing. But as a general rule, you want to be in control. Like, if you can be in control and taking care of your training partners. And, like even the guys, like, I try to take care of my training partners. Because there's guys in here that are 120 pounds.
Yeah.
That are 150. There's guys in here that are over 300 pounds that I'm not going to try to, just stick my knee in their teeth and push a tooth down their throat, like, while I'm rolling with them. Like, I'm trying to take care of my training partners while while building my skills and helping them build theirs. Like, that's the ultimate factor because we're a team. Right? Every gym is a team.
Yes.
And we have to have that type of mentality when we're training. We're training to make each other better, not just to beat each other up.
There's
Or is that what you're doing? You're just trying to beat people up in here?
no, I mean sometimes. No, really, I'm here trying to get better, you know. I have rolled with guys that are really aggressive. They're beginners, of course.
Yeah.
They don't really know exactly what they're doing, so they're just like, I'm just gonna toss her around. And sometimes it does work, but I as a woman have to remind them, like, hey, let's work on this, or hey, I got you here. Let me walk you through the steps instead of you just trying to like explode on me or injure me.
That could be a really good, a nice way to do it.
Yeah.
Is just saying, like, advice for women as, you know, we're rolling. They seem to be a little aggressive. Hey, do you mind if we just drill this time? Do you mind if we just work on some stuff?
Yeah.
I know for me, when I first started, you know, I was kind of in between being the fish, like just not knowing what to do, just laying out, and that makes people mad, or being too aggressive. Yeah. Or just being not so much aggressive, but being really heavy and strong. And I had a friend of mine that she pulled me aside after a roll, and she was like, hey, look, you're going to beat me every time if you use your weight and your strength. But if you use the opportunity to get better technically, then we're both going to improve. And that's really where my mental... Because, you know, I was, you know, getting a little bit hurt, a little bit of my feelings, because, like, I would notice, like, I would go to the 6 a.m., and I would be like, hey, you want to roll? And, like, women did not want to roll with me at all. You know what I mean? I'm like, I've never rolled with you. Yeah, well, I don't roll with white belts. I don't roll with white belt guys. And, like, now I understand that because I see how white belts roll with, you know, with women. So it was kind of a thing of where I was frustrated because, like, man, why are they saying no? Like, they've never seen me roll really that rough. And I was like, okay, I kind of get it. Especially when they saw me rolling with the dudes, because I was a savage, you know, just rolling as hard as I could with these guys. So, you know, they probably thought I was going to do the same thing. But I really did learn my lesson when she told me that. And from then it was just learning techniques on how to distribute weight. I'd love to do a video about that, about how to distribute weight, because there's so many things that you can do to transfer your weight from, and that would be a grappling specific video, to transfer your weight instead of being on the person but to the ground, right? There's two places you can put your weight in grappling specifically, which is on the ground or you can put it on the person. With most rolls in competition or in a fight, you want to put that weight on the person. But when you're training, and if you want to keep your partner safe, you can distribute some of that weight onto the ground. So now you can still work the technique, but you're not applying that pressure to the person. That's a whole nother video we could do. Yeah. So, like, in closing, what are, like, some tips you would specifically tell a guy, hey, I want to train in my gym. There's women in my gym. I'm nervous about training with women. Or maybe I'm already a white belt. I train. I'm new. I'm doing sparring. Like, what are some general tips you would give some guys, like 3 tips you give guys on how to approach the training?
So 3 tips that I could give you guys is, you know, number 1 is ask her, hey, first things first is, do you have any injuries? You know, is there something that I don't know?
That I need to attack? Yes.
Yeah. Or
are your knees jacked up? Can I attack your knees? Are your arms hurting? Can I arm bar that arm?
And then also ask them too, like, can you let me know if I'm being too heavy? Like, I think that's a really nice way to go about it. And also the last one I think is ask yourself, am I using strength or am I using technique? Because if you say, hey, I feel like I'm using strength here, go back and use the technique. You know, like, it's okay. It's okay if you're using strength, but it's more beneficial if you use the technique that you learned throughout that day. You know, okay, I need to fix this adjustment here. Oh, it was loose, so it needs to be a little bit tighter. Or there was a space right here that I created. Okay, I'm not supposed to have any space. Space is bad, or, you know, etc. So that way, if you do compete or if you're just here just for a hobby, you're still getting better and you're not just going home and being an asshole. Okay.
Sounds good. Well, thank you guys for listening. We're going to have a lot more from Lizette talking about some of these specific issues. But until next time, please like, subscribe, Download MatPass, and I'll see you on the mat.